You are now listening to The Couch on 24/7 Miami with your hosts, Chubby Dubby, Clem December,
Big Clem. December, it's Clem time.
and your boy Coleman.
Coleman, I had the most absurd nightmare. I was poor, no one liked me.
Let's go. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Yes.
Welcome back to the couch. Been off for a couple of weeks. Turn down a little bit.
Has it been a couple of weeks?
It's been at least 2 weeks. Actually, the last it was the short show.
Okay. Yeah, so it has been 2 weeks. That's pretty crazy.
So we're back.
As promised, we will not be doing a shortened segment this week. We're going to do a full slate, the full hour. We're coming at you live from Pembroke Pines.
Got a lot to talk about. Been off
Yes.
for a couple weeks.
Quite a bit has happened.
The NFL playoffs almost played out entirely in our absence. We haven't talked to any NFL playoffs.
Yeah.
It's down to 2. We'll get into that. We got something. The NBA is pretty juicy.
Yeah, the NBA is popping right now.
And of course, the weekly appearance on the show by Lavar Ball.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So we'll get right down to the nitty gritty. All right, start playing. Okay, here we go.
That was pretty good.
That was some good stuff right there.
Stay tuned for more of that. So let's start off with, in chronological order, the AFC Championship was played this Sunday.
It was.
The Jacksonville Jaguars were defeated by the New England Patriots 24-20 in a pretty thrilling, exciting game.
Yeah, Jaguars played a lot better than I expected.
Yeah. I will say, obviously as Dolphins fans, nobody down here, or at least I think I speak for most Dolphins fans when I say that we're not rooting for Tom Brady.
Right.
I had a little bit more skin in the game. Blake Bortles, the UCF quarterback. I'm sort of like a by proxy Jags fan, hoping that he does well.
I mean, it's the Florida team, so
yeah, and it's Florida, so you root for him.
I'll root for him. Yeah. I was rooting for him.
And I thought the way that the game started, first of all, the way that the Patriots drove down the field, I was like, oh, exactly. This is exactly what was going to happen. But, they held them to the field goal. They got a little stout. They got the jitters out of them. And then the Jags went up 14-3. And I was like, wow, I really think that they have a chance to do it.
Yeah. What happened to me last week was I never give anyone a chance against the Patriots, especially a Jaguars Blake Bortles team.
Yeah.
But throughout the week, you start to think about that defense, like, well, if they could really rattle up Tom and Leonard Fournette gets it rolling, they have a shot. And then they did. They did exactly what they needed to do. They were controlling the ball. They had the ball for almost 20 minutes in the first half, and they were doing exactly what they needed to do. But they just let the Patriots. They needed to really go for it on that 4th and 1.
Yeah.
Late in the game, they had control of the ball. They're up 20. They just got the fumble, the Miles Jack fumble,
right.
Which that's a whole other story. I don't know why that's ruled a fumble on the field and they blow it dead. Did they? I don't know. They should have let that play out. I think the Jags got hosed for a touchdown there.
Yeah, they did.
But that 4th and 1 on that following possession, I thought they really had to in Foxborough on the road AFC Championship. Hand it to Leonard Fournette. I feel like he gets a yard.
Yep.
You kill at least 3 more minutes, and now there's not enough time for the Patriots to score 2 touchdowns.
Right.
I mean, really, after they punted that ball, I was like, oh, man, Patriots are going to score 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And the Jaguars, I knew 20 points would not be enough.
Yeah, so it was a little bit frustrating because you saw that the Jags, if they would have been like a little bit more aggressive, I feel like they could have won that game. You know what I mean? There was opportunity for it to happen.
That's what I'm saying. Just one opportunity right there. You could have went for that on 4th down.
Right.
Blake Bortles had a really nice game, but he missed a couple throws. There was a wheel route late in the game
where if he leads him, he's gone.
He's gone, and it's a touchdown.
Right.
But then he made some great throws. There was a great catch by Keelan Cole on the sideline late in the game. That was a great throw. Like, even up 20-10, it doesn't matter how late. It just feels like 20 points is not enough.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. And, the play calling in the second half was a little bit, let's not lose this, not, hey, let's go win it. You know what I mean? Like, They only scored 6 points. They kicked 2 field goals. They were running a lot, which I understand you're trying to bleed out the clock, but there comes a certain point where it's like you can't play to not lose against the Patriots because they're going to score more points. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even against that defense, like Tom Brady's going to come on court.
So the Patriots are in the Super Bowl again,
and so I don't know.
8 out of 16 years for Tom Brady as a starter.
Woohoo! Good for him.
I mean, come on, dude. That's unbelievable.
I know. Did you feel like the Jags got hosed at all with any of the penalty situation? The Patriots were called for 1 penalty for 10 yards.
In the whole game.
In the entirety of the game. The Jags were 6 for 98.
The Jalen Ramsey or AJ Bowie on the sideline, that was the first penalty called on either team in the whole second half.
Right.
So the rest were, I don't feel like they didn't call many penalties on the Jags either.
Yeah.
So I don't really feel, I feel like they got hosed on the Miles Jack fumble. I don't know why they had a quick whistle on that play.
Yeah.
For me, the thing with the referee should always be like, when in doubt,
let it go.
Let it go. You can always go back and review rather than, you can give the Jags the ball there, but you can't give them the progress.
Right.
So
there was one Devin McCourty hold that was pretty obvious, pretty late in the 4th quarter that was not called, which they didn't end up converting, and they ended up, punting the ball away. It's tough when there's so few penalties called. Probably have like a legitimate argument, but there were so few penalties called in the game, and that's what as a football fan or as any sort of fan of a sport, like, don't you always say, or a lot of people say, like, let them play it out. Like, don't let the refs get too involved in the game. You know what I mean? It just feels like, of course, it's the Patriots. Like, there was a thing going around on the internet.
Yeah, and Clete Blakeman's the first person to like pat Tom on the back at the end of the game.
Right. You know what I mean? So it's just like, woohoo, great. Way to go, Patriots.
So they're in the Super Bowl again. And on the NFC side, that was a blowout.
Yeah.
That was a game. I really thought that was a toss-up. I looked at those two teams. They're exactly the same team. Really good defenses, backup quarterbacks, weapons, and then they both have an advantage. I mean, the Eagles had the home advantage, which is the bigger advantage.
Right.
But then I also thought Minnesota had that thing about getting to the Super Bowl and playing in your home stadium.
Right.
So I really didn't know which way that game was going to go. I thought either team could win it. I did not expect a 38-7 blowout. And here's the thing about that is Nick Foles looked legit.
Yeah.
Like, Nick Foles didn't just throw one touchdown and not throw a pick.
Right.
He threw for 350-something yards, 3 touchdowns. His QB rating was like 144.
Right.
That was a legit performance by Nick Foles. And it got me to thinking, we've mentioned this before about the former Jeff Fisher quarterbacks that are playing good football.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what, I decided this so far on Nick Foles. Nick Foles is a good quarterback who had a really good season under Chip Kelly and ended up in St. Louis for some reason and was crap underneath Jeff Fisher.
Right.
Now he's back with a QB coach, Doug Peterson, and he's looking good. So that's where I'm at with Nick Foles. Is he's a good quarterback with a good coach. So, hey, if this Eagles defense is that good, they've been the best defense, one of the best defenses all year.
Certainly in the playoffs, too.
They completely stymied a Vikings offense that has been pretty good this year, even under Case Keenum.
Right. They locked down that running game. Latavius Murray and
which
Jarrett McKinnon did nothing.
That was even after Dalvin Cook went out.
Right.
The two of them were a top 5 producing backfield.
Mm-hmm.
And so that Eagles defense was really good. So if that Eagles defense can score another touchdown, that's kind of their thing. They score touchdowns on defense.
Right.
Yeah, they can find themselves in a game where maybe Nick Foles has to come up with a touchdown, and then the defense would have to just stop Tom Brady.
Yeah. It's a good matchup. I'm not terribly excited about it.
See, what happened, the playoffs were so weird this year because we had Blake Bortles, we had Mariota, we had Tyrod Taylor, and then you have a week where I'm expecting Matt Ryan to beat Nick Foles and Drew Brees to beat Case Keenum, and they both lose, and we end up with a Case Keenum Nick Foles NFC Championship, which is hard to hype up. Although I was excited for that game.
Oh yeah.
But it's hard to hype up that game, and so the playoffs have been odd this year. That's for sure.
Yeah. Like I said, I think that the Super Bowl it has the potential to be a really good game.
I mean, except for the Nick Foles Carson Wentz thing, after week 12, pretty much everyone had Patriots Eagles.
Yeah, right. And I think have the Eagles been underdogs in every game they've played so far, even though they had home field advantage?
Home field advantage.
And they'll be underdogs again.
Home dogs in the playoffs 2 times, yeah.
Right. And they will
they just beat the brakes off the Vikings.
Right. That was pretty surprising.
Dude, I just want to reflect on, still to this minute, the Stephon Diggs play against the Saints is the craziest thing I've ever seen in football.
Right.
I mean, I've been watching, 2 decades of football, but that's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was pretty. I mean, I was watching it, and you could feel like just the Saints, like you could feel them collapse. Like as soon as he not when he caught it, but when he turned and started heading up, it was just like, oh no, I can't believe that this is happening.
I couldn't believe it was happening. I just couldn't believe the guy just dove right past him. Yeah. And then, Stephon Diggs, 7 out of 10 times, any given player, 7 out of 10 times that guy steps out of bounds.
Jumps right out of bounds.
Because you're like, oh my God, how much time do I have?
Right.
Is someone chasing very closely behind me?
Right.
I don't know if he knew. There was 2 defenders there. Marcus Williams took out Crawley.
Yeah. So
if Crawley doesn't if Crawley doesn't get taken out, he might run down Steph Diggs and tackle him in bound. Game's over.
Right.
So you saw Everson Griffin on the sideline. Just Everson Griffin, who, by the way, has the most hilarious lisp in sports. Have you heard Everson Griffin talk?
No.
Oh my God, he has the biggest lisp, and he's really funny. And post game, he couldn't even speak. He was just looking around in shock.
Right.
It was unbelievable.
And another thing, since the Eagles are in the Super Bowl, did you see Jay Ajayi's reaction?
Yeah, he fell to the ground.
Crying.
Yeah.
So obviously it's every football player's dream to make it to the Super Bowl, but he's had a weird path, strange path to the NFL.
From London,
you know what I mean? I don't even know how British people would come about starting to play football. But so then, gets drafted by the Dolphins, has a little falling out with the coach over, not wanting to practice or not getting enough reps or whatever. Gets traded for a ham sandwich to Philadelphia. Here you go. Trip to the Super Bowl.
Trip to the Super Bowl.
What does that teach you kids? Be difficult for your bosses.
Right.
They'll send you to the Super Bowl.
You'll get a promotion.
Yeah.
You'll get a promotion for a new company, a new and better company.
Yeah.
So, any other thoughts on the playoffs?
Not really.
Andy Reid and Andy Reid and Alex Smith blew another playoff lead.
Yeah.
I had this thought during the Titans games was they need to move on from DeMarco Murray because they are much better off with just Derrick Henry in the backfield.
Yeah.
Give him his carries. Forget about DeMarco Murray, who can't gain a yard half the times he runs the ball.
Right.
So I noticed that, they kept ruling DeMarco Murray out, and I was like, well, that's good for the Titans.
Yeah. He's out with a knee injury, coach's decision.
Yeah. Oh, and also what's funny is who's Mike Mularkey, the Titans coach, wins a playoff game and then mutually agrees to part ways. I'm not sure how mutual that was.
Yeah, I don't.
Probably not very mutual.
I don't really even understand the decision.
I don't think. He didn't, because there was talks of that, and when the talks of that came out, all the players backed him.
Right.
Then you win a playoff game. I don't know. I guess Mariota had a pretty severe decline in his production from last year to this year.
Right.
So, I mean, when you're talking a third-year franchise quarterback and you only make the playoffs because the AFC was horse bleep this year.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But, yeah, I just love when the report comes out that a head coach mutually agreed to part ways. Yeah, you're going to tell me that guy mutually agreed to step down from a NFL head coaching job?
Right. One of 32 positions.
One of 32 positions in the world.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's always funny.
Pretty crazy. So I guess that wraps up the NFL. You want to take a quick break and then we'll come back with some quick hits?
Yeah.
Let's Grossman.
We don't get money yet.
Price now 100 million. You pay now
Or tomorrow, Simple Jack die.
Great. 100 million. Oh, wait. I got a better idea.
Stay tuned to the couch on 247miami.tv.
Instead of 100 million, how about I send you a whole bunch of cheese?
Then you kill him. Do your thing. Skin the
Go to town, man. Go to town.
No.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to the couch. Welcome back. Okay.
So I said that we were going to be done with the NFL, but we're not actually done with the NFL because we have some things that are going to be in this next little segment that we like to call quick hits.
We're never done with the NFL.
Yeah. Quick hits. Lasers. Okay, back to the Philadelphia Eagles. As I'm sure that you and most people are aware, the Philadelphia Eagles are known for having a pretty rowdy fan base. Maybe sometimes racist, but that's not what is applying to this story.
There's an old wives' tale that they booed Santa.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
So after the NFC Championship game, they proceeded to light the streets on fire and raise hell in the streets.
I saw that city crew members were putting Crisco on the light poles to prevent them from trying to climb.
Right. Well, in addition to that, now for the second time in 2 weeks, a fan has been arrested for punching a police horse. During the pregame tailgate, Andrew Tornetta actually got a little too rowdy. Punched a horse twice and then a human officer once. Apprehended. I think he said that there was a photo of him going around on the internet.
Yeah, all bloodied up with blood running out of his mouth and nose.
Yeah, I mean, if you punch a cop's horse when they catch you, they're probably gonna
beat you up,
return the favor a little bit. But
in the horse's defense,
right?
You don't want the horse getting his defense.
Right. Yeah. So they apprehended him. He was charged with a slew of charges, including aggravated assault and simple assault on the horse and the officer. Probably not a wise move there, Andrew. You're facing some felonies now because you wanted to punch a horse.
They stuck everything. They gave him jaywalking.
And it's the second time in 2 weeks. What's happening here, Philadelphia?
Yeah, Philly needs to chill out.
Why punching horses?
Why? And that was before the game.
Yeah, he didn't even get to see the game.
Didn't even get into the game. Imagine if he got that rowdy and then got out of jail to find out that they lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, whatever.
Also, in quick hits, we have our weekly appearance from Lavar Ball.
Oh, no.
So Lavar Ball, you told me, is now an assistant coach.
The BC Vitautas has announced that he will join its coaching staff starting with the next game, which is going to be played against Alitas Djurgurki. And it's in a Big Baller Brand tournament.
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean?
I was wondering when LeVar Ball was going to get his hands onto that team. I was really wondering when the Lithuanian coach was going to realize that he needed LeVar Ball.
Or when the Lithuanian coach realized, I should probably just quit now because he's just going to become the head coach.
Yeah,
and then
you mentioned they're over there playing in Big Baller Brand tournaments. I mean, what did they just scrap the Lithuanian league?
Yeah, they're it's all Big Baller Brand now.
Everything's Big Baller Brand now.
We renamed Lithuania Big Baller.
Big Baller. I play for Big Baller League.
Yes.
Wow. Hey, you know what? I'm waiting for Lonzo to go over there and just be the best player Lithuania has ever seen.
The other ones are doing pretty well. I think the last game...
they combined for 60 points.
They combined for 85 points, LaMelo and LiAngelo, which is pretty ridiculous. But, in all honesty, I started off this, okay, LeVar Ball is kind of a ham, whatever. He's doing whatever he's doing. He's getting, he's making money by doing this, causing a stir and everything. But I just got tired of it. And it's honestly, I feel like enough is enough already. And it really, it crossed the line for me when he starts, questioning Luke Walton and doing his job, saying that the Lakers don't believe for him no more. And, all this stuff, you know what I mean? You're messing with this dude's livelihood and, you potentially could burn somebody's career. You know what I mean?
Not only burn Luke Walton's, I don't know how many people are burning Luke Walton's career because of what LeVar Ball says.
I know.
No, whose career could be more at jeopardy is Lonzo Ball's.
Yeah.
Does anyone want LeVar Ball around?
Absolutely.
What's the cost of having Lonzo so good that you're going to have LeVar Ball criticizing the head coach every single time they lose a couple games?
Right. And, I don't even know.
Maybe LeVar Ball's trying to get leverage for him being the head coach of the Lakers.
Yeah, maybe.
Can you imagine that?
No, absolutely not. The Lakers would never do that. But
if anyone could talk the Lakers into letting him be the coach, it'd be LaVar Ball. He would just smooth talk Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson will walk out of that meeting and be like, "What just happened? I don't know what just happened, but LaVar's the head coach now."
The Lakers could have helped out Luke Walton by coming to his defense and being like, "No, like we don't feel that way." You know what I mean? And they chose to not say anything on the subject. Just leave out to dry.
Yeah, I did see. I did. Yeah, I noticed that the Lakers didn't say anything.
Yeah, which was a little weird. Again, I'm not like Luke Walton's biggest fan. It just seems a little bit weird that they would, allow it to go that route. Back to the NFL. Are you familiar with New York Jets wide receiver Robbie Anderson?
I am. He's from down here.
Oh, that's actually pertains to the story because according to Sunrise Police, Robbie was clocked doing about 105 miles per hour in a Jaguar in a 45 mile per hour zone somewhere in Sunrise, driving erratically. When he was eventually pulled over, he resisted arrest and berated the police, shouting things like, "Do you know who I am and how much money I make?" and this sort of thing. Once he was finally restrained and being transported to jail, he told the arresting officer that he was going to find his wife, bleep her, and nut in her eye. He racked up 9 charges, including, erratic, reckless driving, resisting arrest, and he was released on $7,200 bond. Where do you think he was?
I don't know where he in Sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
He played Optimist for the Plantation Wildcats. Shout out Bushi, he was his teammate.
Oh, nice.
But what I want to say to Robbie Williams in regards to his "Do you know who I am?" comment. No, Robbie Anderson. Nobody knows who you are unless you're a degenerate fantasy football player.
Only fantasy
football players and Jets
is.
Fans know who Robbie Anderson is. And I mean, how much money do you make? You're like a second-year player on a 5th-round contract.
Yeah.
You don't make that much. I mean, it's probably more than the cop.
Yeah, I mean, it's just he immediately started saying that he wanted a lawyer, and they didn't mention anything, at least from what I saw in the arrest report, about whether or not he was under the influence of anything. You know what I mean? Like the charges weren't DUI.
Right.
There were other things. So,
right, that's true.
Because I mean, if you're a celebrity kind of and you got a little bit of clout and you get a little bit of liquor in you, maybe that's when like the "do you know who I am" stuff starts coming out. But it sounds like he was sober, so maybe he's just a dick.
Yeah, I mean, doing 105 and 45, that's already reckless.
Right.
Like, that's criminal speeding.
I'm thinking of like Broward Boulevard, like just before Nob Hill. You know what I mean? Like 45 miles per hour, right by that Walgreens. Like,
yeah.
What are you doing? Why are you doing 105?
Where are you going? I wonder what time it was. Hopefully, you're going to make it a happy hour. Or something.
Was Friday evening.
Evening.
Yeah, so it wasn't even really all that late.
Right. That's funny. Okay. I have some sound here I want to play that's really interesting.
Okay.
You're familiar with Paul Pierce and Isaiah Thomas. The Celtics wanted to honor Isaiah Thomas a few weeks ago, but he wasn't playing in that game, so he didn't want to take focus off the game. Even if you're playing in the game, that probably takes focus off the game. But then the Cavs only go to the Celtics twice this year.
Right.
So the next time happens to be Paul Pierce's retirement. And
tribute.
I think first Isaiah Thomas said that he didn't want to interfere with Paul Pierce's night, which is cool. Like, I'm like, all right, that's kind of cool. But what I don't think needed to happen was I don't think Paul Pierce needed to come out and say, I don't want Isaiah Thomas's thing on my night.
Right.
Like, Isaiah Thomas already said, I don't want them to do it. You don't have to like look like the asshole saying, oh, I don't want them to do it.
Right.
So this is what Jalen Rose on ESPN, like NBA Countdown, this is what Jalen Rose said to Paul Pierce's face. No.
Did turn around their fortunes since you played there. Right. He was a part of them being a number 1 seed. He had tragedy with the team. He even played in a playoff game after his sister tragically passed away. Next, I gotta say a word for you, fam. I think it was petty.
On who?
On Paul Pierce's part.
In what part?
I love Paul. This is my part. Because to me, there are going to be all type of announcements that happen in the 48 minutes during that game.
Okay.
All types. Celebrating Isaiah Thomas could be one of them. But does not take away from your.
So Jalen Rose pretty much just, you're petty. He called him petty, which I think he is being petty.
Yeah.
But that was awesome that Jalen Rose just did that right to his face on NBA Countdown.
Little golf clap there for Jalen Rose. Props to him for doing that.
All right. And finally, or not finally, I don't know what else you have, but sticking in the NBA, the Milwaukee Bucks fired Jason Kidd.
Yes.
Today or yesterday?
I believe it happened
I
yesterday.
think it was yesterday. And
after they lost 4 of their last 5 games, they fell to 8th place in the East. And it's not so much that he was just fired. It's sort of like the circumstances surrounding the way that he was fired. That's a little bit interesting. Reports have come out since stating that Giannis Antetokounmpo actually called Jason Kidd to ask him if there was anything that he could do to save his job. To which Jason Kidd's response was, "I didn't know that my job needed saving, apparently."
yeah, and I wouldn't think that. I mean, I don't know if Jason Kidd. The Bucks haven't really lit it up the way that they have a lot of talent on that roster.
Yeah.
Besides, Chris Middleton, Malcolm Brogdon was Rookie of the Year, I think, last year.
Right. I mean, they who else? They got Eric Bledsoe now.
So
the problem is that the Milwaukee Bucks have been bitten by the injury bug, which a lot of it happens. But I mean, so like Jabari Parker, a very high round pick, supposed to be doing very well. He hasn't played at all this season.
Mhm.
Last season, Chris Middleton was out for an extended period of time. It's like they can never get all of the pieces in place to be healthy at the same time. Somebody's always injured. You know what I mean? So I don't know if the impetus necessarily was on Jason Kidd for everything.
that's what I'm saying.
It seems like there was a little bit of like I think that maybe the relationship with management, it was one of those types of decisions. Obviously, if you're finding out from your player that you're fired,
yeah,
they don't like you.
Yeah. So I mean, all that stuff is hard to see. You don't expect a guy like Jason Kidd to get fired after they were in the playoffs last year. They're not out of the playoff picture this year.
Right. I mean, they're in 8th place, but
I mean, I guess if you're gonna make a move, you might as well make it before the season's lost.
Yeah.
Although, because you know how those things work, you fire the coach, and the team might rally around an interim coach, and
right. Or
so
they could go the opposite and just bail.
But the firing of Jason Kidd brings up memories of the. I saw the clip yesterday of when he told a player to bump into him so he could spill his cup because he had no timeouts,
right.
And he wanted to get a chance to talk to his team. So that's a classic. It's a headsy play.
Yeah.
Real headsy, real Jason Kidd type play.
I feel like Jason Kidd will get another job in the NBA.
Oh, he probably definitely will. I think there's a lot of guys coaching that. I mean, that are honestly, I don't even know that many NBA coaches.
He's young enough and he has enough relationships, I feel like, throughout the NBA that like somebody would give him a chance at something. It's just got to be the right position. I mean,
and this was his second gig because Brooklyn traded him. But he's only been a head coach total
4 years,
4 or 5 years.
He's
playing in like the 2012 NBA playoffs.
One thing that I am a little bit hopeful for is maybe if Giannis is calling his coach and asking him like, what can I do to potentially save your job? Like maybe he sours on the Bucks a little bit, and then you know what I'm saying. Maybe he wants to see what living in Miami might be like.
Yeah, would we have to get rid of Hassan's contract for that?
Yeah, probably. I mean,
I'd rather have Giannis than Hassan.
So would I. Oh,
you get this.
Giannis Antetokounmpo is one of my favorite players in the current NBA right now.
Yeah,
not only because I love to say his name, but he's like a generally good dude.
Yeah,
he's really good at basketball. You know what I mean? Like. I had fun cheering for him.
Yeah, he's kind of awkward though, like his accent when he tries to like tell jokes.
Yeah.
Like he's got that awkwardness to him.
That's part of the charm, though. I like it.
Yeah, the foreign charm. Speaking of the, just really feeling himself these days.
I love Joel Embiid too. Another one of my favorite players.
So maybe he'll get tired of losing in Philly and come down here. Also, speaking of big men that are balling. Boogie Cousins just dropped like 44 and 20 and 10.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis had back-to-back 40-15 games a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I saw this headline on First Take today, and I was like, and it said, "Why aren't the Pelicans better?" And I literally was like, "Wow, that's such a good question."
Yeah.
I mean,
the thing is,
probably the two best big men in the league.
Right.
You know, I will consider Giannis a 4, and then it goes Anthony Davis, Boogie, you know, Hassan, Joel, DeAndre Jordan. Why aren't they better?
They're different too. You know what I mean? So like Anthony Davis doesn't really shoot a lot of threes, but Boogie Cousins is shooting threes now. You know what I mean? And that's ridiculous. He's 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
You know, and so like I think that the potential is there. If you have two, like the Twin Towers or whatever, two big guys that are versatile, they're not just like lumbering monsters. Like you can't have two Hassan Whitesides on the floor at the same time. It's not possible. But they're able to do it because of the versatility that DeMarcus Cousins has. Like I see a lot of potential there. The problem is they're shooting. Like people outside of those two, like the shooting efficiency is not that great. But they also have some injuries. Who is it? Not Tyreek Evans. He doesn't play there anymore. Not Rondo.
Buddy Hield?
No, Buddy Hield plays for the
Kings
now. Whatever. Somebody's injured. I can't remember who it
Rondo.
was. Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday. Oh, he's a good player too.
Yeah. So he's been injured for a lot of the year. That takes away a key component of their shooting. They have Rondo, which I'm not sure whether he's great for a team or not, especially at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, they could be better. I definitely think so. But
all right. Got any other quick hits?
No, we've got some more NBA action coming at you in the next segment, though.
Yeah, we'll do Simple Jack.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the couch. This next segment is coming to you courtesy of the Dolphins Cancer Challenge. Launched in 2010 as a signature initiative of the Miami Dolphins Foundation, the DCC is a way all of us can be cancer fighters. 100% of participant-raised funds go to innovative cancer research at Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. Go to dolphinscancercenterchallenge.com for more details. I actually will be riding in the Dolphins Cancer Challenge on February 10th, 2008. If you go to my Twitter, it's Coleman, ITSCOLEMAN. You can find the donation link pinned in my bio. Dolphins Cancer Challenge.
Excellent. So that is going to lead us into my favorite segment.
Ooh.
Simple Jack.
Everybody knows you have no full retard.
Goodbye, Mama. Now you can have ice cream in heaven. I'll see you tonight when I go to bed in my head movies. But this head movie makes my eyes rain.
You ain't full retard, man.
That is correct, ladies and gentlemen. Another edition of not only your favorite segment, but what I've heard is Brooke Hogan's favorite segment, Simple Jack. This week's Simple Jack is brought to us courtesy of the Tampa Bay Times out of Spring Hill, Florida, where nothing good ever happens. Authorities say a Florida man was charged with DUI after mistaking a bank drive-thru for a Taco Bell. 38-year-old Douglas Francisco was arrested late last week outside the Bank of America branch in Spring Hill. Bank employees spotted good old Doug passed out in the bank's drive-up lane. After they knocked on his window for some time, Francisco awoke, rolled down his window, and tried to order some burritos. The branch manager informed him it was not a Taco Bell, at which point he drove to the front of the parking lot and passed out again. Deputies arrived and conducted a field sobriety test, which, what do you think?
I feel like it passed flying colors.
He failed.
Oof.
He was arrested and charged with DUI.
I mean, who hasn't driven up to a Bank of America thinking it was a Burger King or a Taco Bell?
Like, I would like to, that also got me thinking of like innovative like ways of like having like drive-through restaurants. Like, what about like a taco ATM?
Yeah, or the little like air tube thing that says, what if just a cheeseburger comes down?
Yeah.
Wow.
Doug is thinking outside the box and forward. You know, never mind the DUI stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, never mind his.
Right.
He is a forward thinker, and he may make himself very rich one day.
I hope so. So, Doug, if you're out there listening, taco ATMs, do it. Let's do it, buddy.
Bank of Burgers.
Yes, Bank of Burgers. I think, actually, you know what? We're going to steal your idea, and we're going to do it.
Yeah, you know what? He doesn't even remember that he made that idea. Like, he'll probably never argue us on it because he doesn't remember that that was his idea.
That's very true. Up next, we're going to get into one of my favorite segments, but it's going to be a little bit different because we usually have our compadre Dubby do Dubby Knows All, but we're going to have a fill-in today.
It's me.
Yeah, shocking.
Dubby Dubai knows it all. Well, Dick, here's the deal. I'm the best there is. Plain simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I kiss excellence.
Do you know who I am? I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
That was stupid. Was it?
Okay, it's time for Dubby Knows All in honor of Dubby, who hasn't been with us for a few weeks, but he'll be back.
Still alive, not dead as far as we know.
He's still alive. He'll be back soon. He usually does it, but we haven't done it in a while. So I'm going to do Dubby Knows All. Did you know that according to 40 million-year-old bones that they found, used to be over 6 feet tall and weigh over 250 pounds.
Wow.
Penguins were like bears.
That's pretty hard to imagine. That's actually kind of terrifying too. Imagine like a penguin wobbling around that's the size of, you know, an NFL linebacker.
That's what I'm saying. That they were like bears. Holy moly.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
pretty crazy.
So did you know?
I did not know that.
I knew that.
Oh.
Well, I'm sure W knew that too because W knows all.
Right.
Okay. Did you know that during the filming of Schindler's List, Robin Williams used to call Steven Spielberg and tell him jokes to cheer him up? Because filming Schindler's List, you're probably sad.
Yeah.
about that.
Pretty depressing movie.
Yeah.
R.I.P. in peace, Robin Williams.
Yeah, R.I.P. in peace. Flubber, the greatest work. His greatest work, do you think?
I think Mrs. Doubtfire is his.
That's his calling card.
Yeah.
All right, couple more here for you. If you people who work all night and sleep all day, there's a word for that. Do you know what it is?
No.
I know what it is. It is. Well, the phone knows what it is. It's lick no bite.
Lick no bite.
So
I was going to say nocturnal. I think that probably works too.
Nocturnal is like an adjective. Like you are nocturnal. But you are a lick no bite.
Oh, okay.
If you work all night and sleep all day.
Huh.
All right, I got one more for you.
Okay.
This one is really interesting. The Twitter bird, the little blue Twitter bird, the logo for Twitter.
Yes.
That bird's name is Larry.
Huh.
So
I did not know that.
You did not know that bird had a name?
Have you ever seen the Twitter whale?
No.
So I don't know if it still exists, but there used to be, like, when you weren't on the app, if you were actually accessing Twitter from a browser and there were like too many users online, there would be a picture of a whale with a bunch of little birds, orange birds, not the blue ones. Like, what's his name? Larry?
Yeah.
Not Larry.
Not Larry.
Little orange birds, and they were carrying a whale away, and it would say, "Sorry, it's too busy right now on Twitter." So,
how long ago was this?
Yeah, in a few years. Not that. I mean, Twitter's only been around for what, like 8 years?
I don't remember ever being told there's too many users on Twitter.
There's like too much going on Twitter. Is what it would do.
That's probably what happened.
Google Twitter whale if you think I'm lying. Coleman knows a little bit too, not all, but
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Holler at me when it's all.
Okay. So we're gonna get back into the NBA action. Like we said, it's really juicy right now. We had firings of coaches. There's some injuries and things going on, and there's something going on with the Cavs right now.
Yeah, the Cavs have lost 5 out of 6.
The Cavs have lost 5 out of 6
and 11 out of 15.
Yeah, 9 out of 12. Like, you can just keep on scaling it back. Like,
right.
Basically, the last 2 months have been a disaster. For
right.
And including a drubbing on Saturday night where
they gave up 75 points in each half.
Yeah, they scored. The Oklahoma City Thunder scored 148. I don't know what the Cavs scored. Obviously,
and it was 148. That is an all-star game number.
Yeah. Or like quadruple overtime. Even like overtime games don't hit that.
Don't hit that. And it's like, and I don't even think the Warriors didn't score 148 when they scored, or not the Warriors, but the Rockets. A few months ago scored 90 in the first half.
Yeah.
They still didn't hit 148.
No.
And so, I mean, it was just a consistent 75 points in 2 halves. The Cavaliers have no defense. I mean, and that's a team with LeBron James, Tristan Thompson, J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert, guys who are defensive-minded players.
Right.
And they're, like you said, 5 out of 6, 9 out of 12, 11 out of 15. They've been losing for a month.
Yeah.
And so now the report is that they had one of those,
team meeting,
the old players only meeting, or I don't even know if it was players only, but a major issue in that meeting happened to be Kevin Love,
right?
And how he left a game and then didn't go to practice the next day because he was ill.
Right.
And I mean, if you're saying that Kevin Love is faking illnesses, I mean, what's going on there?
Right. So apparently,
I mean, is Kevin Love getting sick on Saturday night the reason you've been losing all month?
Right. It's just so I don't know. So reportedly, I think Woj said that people are saying that it was Isaiah Thomas that was actually calling out Kevin Love, saying that he
what have you done?
Right. He's only been around for like 5 or 10 games or something like that. But so obviously there's some sort of tension within the team. As of today, and it may have happened, while we've been on air, because Brian Windhorst reported earlier that they were basically on the 1 yard line in talks with the Sacramento Kings for a deal for George Hill, which is a starting caliber point guard.
Yeah, and he's taller than 5'6".
And so that makes you think, well, they have Derrick Rose on the team. They have Isaiah Thomas on the team. They're bringing another point guard in. Like, somebody's going. Somebody's going somewhere.
Oh, well,
you don't need a third point guard.
Maybe it's an Isaiah Thomas for George Hill deal.
So they were talking. I don't think they want to do that necessarily. They were talking about like shipping a Iman Shumpert, who I think is injured this year, and Channing Frye, who has an expiring contract, to Sacramento for George Hill, because George Hill is unhappy in Sacramento. But I mean, that's not going to be the only chip to fall if this trade goes through. And I don't know necessarily. It's hard to really say who you think would go, but like, if there's like, hey, Isaiah Thomas and Kevin Love don't work, like
Isaiah Thomas is gone.
Isaiah Thomas has got to go.
I mean, Isaiah Thomas he was 30 points a game for a Celtics team that needed him to score.
Yes.
This Cleveland team doesn't need you to score. So now what are you, 12 points and a defensive liability?
Yeah. So he's a total defensive liability. As it turns out, when this trade happened, it actually, we broke this trade live on the air. When it happened, it was like we did some comparative, like statistical comparisons between Isaiah Thomas and Kyrie Irving, and it was like on paper they look pretty similar. Yeah, Kyrie has a little bit more stats, like we're talking like assists per game or rebounds per game or something like that, but they're pretty near in scoring. But now you can see like it may I think that it has more to do with like maybe the effort or the system, but Kyrie Irving is not as big of a liability on defense as a lot of people thought that he was.
No, and also Kyrie Irving is a rising offensive player where I think we've maybe seen Isaiah Thomas be about as good as he's going to be.
Right.
So you're talking about Kyrie Irving, who bailed out LeBron James when the Cavs beat the Warriors.
Yep.
And that was a 22-year-old kid who's only getting better. We've seen Isaiah. I mean, we know how good we know Isaiah Thomas can be good.
Yeah.
But Kyrie Irving's a superstar.
Right.
And Cleveland ruined themselves. Cleveland may have ruined themselves for a long time because this poor season could lead to LeBron leaving.
Yeah.
And it's all going to come. And in the very beginning, it's LeBron's ego that kind of Kyrie didn't want to play with him anymore.
Right.
And that leads to your team's not as good anymore. And they're having a rough go at it. And, Boston's legit, because we're talking about Kyrie Irving.
Right.
Boston's legit. Toronto keeps losing in the playoffs, and somehow they still look better every year.
Right.
Every year we're like, okay, Toronto's good this year.
Yeah, until they get to the playoffs.
Until they go. I mean,
Kyle Lowry disappears.
Did they go to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, or did Boston?
No, they went.
It was Toronto, Cleveland. So that's as far as they've gotten. So I mean, pretty much the only thing next they have to do is get to the finals.
Right.
That's going to be hard against LeBron James. But yeah, Toronto's there, and this Cleveland team. I mean, they end up as a 3 seed and have to play a hot 6 seed or something. That could spell trouble if they can't guard anyone. If they end up in a 4-5 matchup.
Right, with the Heat.
Right. Yeah. Is he not going to play that series?
Yeah, he'll just take off. Only the visiting games when they visit Miami, he just won't play.
Right.
But so it also feels like the sky's falling, but it also feels like for Cleveland, but it also feels like this every year, doesn't it? They always hit a rough spot where they have to have a player meeting. Maybe the coach gets fired, maybe not. You know what I mean? Like,
and everyone asks the question, can the Cavs turn it on this year?
Right.
Can the Cavs hit the switch this year? Whichever year they do.
Right. And LeBron gets into playoff mode, and it's monster LeBron, and nobody can stop him.
And nobody can stop him.
Blazes through the Eastern Conference.
And everyone goes, "Oh my God, LeBron's better than we've ever seen."
Right. And this has happened for the last 2 years.
It's happened for the last 8 years. LeBron's played in 7 straight finals.
Right. And it was happening with the Heat. It was happening with the Heat. Bumpgate. Oh, why did he bump Eric Spoelstra? Oh, they're fighting. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, well, this Heat team, I don't know if they're going to be able to make another run. Blah, blah, blah. And then guess what? Bam, buzzsaw through everybody but the Pacers.
Yeah. just thought of this. You know, Tom Brady going to his 8th final.
Mm.
LeBron goes to the finals this year. That's his 8th in a row.
Yeah.
And yeah, Tom's won 5. If LeBron wins, it would be his 4th.
Yes.
But you know, it's harder to. There's a lot more parity in the NBA in terms of like, there's more good teams. You always know Tom Brady probably gonna have a shot to win every Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And this year, I mean, you could say that in the NBA about the Warriors right now.
Yeah.
But hey, LeBron, 8 finals in a row. If he goes this year, that's the something.
I'm not one of those people that argue like, oh, LeBron, MJ, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they're different players. So you can't cross like different eras of people's career paths and tell me one is really definitively better than the other. But like, I can tell you that LeBron James is the best basketball player that I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in my generation, I didn't really, you know, coming up, like, Jordan was towards the end of his, you know, prime when I started like really paying attention to basketball. I still obviously know who Michael Jordan is and saw him play. You know what I mean? And he's the GOAT. He's got 6 rings. He could have had 8. You know what I mean? But I mean, LeBron is a legit. You know, LeBron's also a GOAT. There could be 2.
There could be 2.
Some people say Kobe. There could be 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How long until LeBron is just player coach? Because isn't Ty Lue like?
They're saying that
I feel like Ty Lue just calls timeouts.
Yeah, probably. But they can't have that. So I don't think that he wants that. You know what I mean? I'm sure that he does. I don't know if he necessarily wants the title or not, but I don't think the NBA is going to do it, and I don't think that the Cavs would do it. Like, to see that sort of power. But I think that I wonder if this does spell the end of LeBron's second tenure with the Cavs. Because there's been a lot of talk about after the season, you know, he won't sign an extended deal. He won't sign long contracts with the Cavs. You know what I mean? He's a free agent after this year.
Right. And I think, and we've seen LeBron's been, this is LeBron's 4th year in Cleveland.
Yes.
Every single year has technically been a 1-year deal because he's had the chance to opt out of after every year.
Right.
So it's like, he's been leading Cleveland on for 4 years. For 4 years, every single year, Cleveland fans and ownership have to deal with, is LeBron going to stay?
Right.
And you know LeBron wants to, you know, finish the twilight of his career under the LA sun. Who the heck wants to be in Cleveland anymore? You know what I mean? He got Cleveland that championship. That's really what he really went back to do. I think had he won championships in his first tenure, I don't think he may ever go back. He might have still left the Heat.
Yeah.
But LeBron just doesn't. LeBron is this huge entity. He's this huge personality. You know, I don't see him being a Jordan, even though Jordan left the Bulls. He actually went to the Wizards, but I don't see LeBron being he's not a Kobe, Tim Duncan. He doesn't have this. He doesn't feel this need to be loyal somewhere. So, he's gonna end up in LA.
I think they will. There's certainly the potential for that. I just realized that is not accurate.
That is not accurate.
So
at
we're
all.
actually running over an hour right now.
Yeah.
So with that, we're gonna cut it a little bit short, I guess.
Now we have to go. Holy moly!
We have to go. We will be back next week, hopefully, and if we are, we will hit you with some Super Bowl heavy.
Super Bowl.
We're gonna do some Super Bowl trivia.
Of the year.
Dun, 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 dun.
Super Bowl trivia. Yeah, we're gonna have Super Bowl trivia.
Super Bowl games and stuff like that. This has been The Couch, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. We'll check you out next week.